Welcome back. Listen Up is on the vexing question of why poverty persists when so much aid is going out the door. And our next guest calls Africa a continent with a major manufacturing potential. Tal Dehtiar is determined to prove it. He's the founder of Oliberte Shoes, the first shoe company to make premium shoes in sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome, Tal.
Hi, how are you?
Tal, why does Africa have untapped manufacturing potential?
They have the right people, they have the right number of people, they have amazing resources, if we're talking shoes, leather, rubber, and then they have existing equipment. You know, there's shoe manufacturing already existing in Ethiopia. There's other great equipment and technologies in other parts of Africa, whether it's Rwanda, Botswana, but it's just a matter of somebody coming in and saying, how do we use that technology? How do we work with those people, not how do we help those people?
Tell us a little bit about the difference of having a factory like this, even though you've sourced a lot of it from Canada. You're an MBA from here. Your background is MBA Without Borders. What's the difference of running a manufacturing business there than here?
So, I've never run a factory in Canada, so I can't speak to how, unique the Canadian market is or the North American market. But I can only compare with what people tell us of why we should be working in other parts of the world and not Africa. And what the reason is, they say Africa's corrupt, you don't have the right capacity, the people aren't smart enough. But for us, it's quite different. They're very creative in a very, very different way. We have a unique kind of African element to our shoes, which has been wildly successful. The equipment, it might not be as modern, for example, at our factories, but it does everything we need.
Yeah, I know you don't like to cross your legs, but you are wearing your shoes. And one other difference that you've had, so those are Oliberte shoes, and you have also brought in the idea of celebrity culture to wear Oliberte shoes. Who's all wearing them?
Yeah, we've just been fortunate. We never came to certain celebrities. It's just we've been fortunate that Snoop Dogg, Edward Norton, Kristen Stewart from Twilight, Kanon, famous for waving flag, they just love the idea, not so much just of the story, but luckily for us, our shoes sell. Because if we couldn't sell our shoes on their own because of the leathers and the quality, the whole story, think about Africa would never even work. So we sell our shoes first, and then we're fortunate, obviously, because of the story, it gets celebrities like Snoop Dogg or Edward Norton wearing the shoes.
Obviously, my motivation for wanting to hear your story on the show is because we want to see Africans lifted out of poverty. Yeah. Tell me what your encounter with that is.
I won't say that Oliberte is lifting Africa out of poverty. Oliberte is noticed, and I have noticed as kind of the founder of Oliberte, that Africa has a decent middle class, but it doesn't have an exponentially rising middle class as what you see in China. But if you look at China and what built China over the last 30 years is when they focus on manufacturing. And that's what we're really trying to do with Oliberte, is say, if we focus on manufacturing and start spreading this, now we're being asked by countries in Botswana, Zambia, Rwanda, Burundi, to say, can you bring your factory kind of ensemble and your team to here to start making shoes here? Because they're saying, enough with the whole give us shoes, give us money, give us clothes. We're saying, we just want jobs. We want to be the reason that you can give away shoes in other parts of the world because we're the ones that made them.
Africans are saying that to you.
That's what our factories are saying. When you go to visit our factories and the footage that you'll see, it's because our workers are saying, thank you for actually believing in us and not treating us like just some person with their hand out.
There's over 12,000 Canadian charities sending money overseas. If they were to start getting involved in manufacturing, making jobs, helping Africans export the incredible richness of their country, what would be your advice? How do they start?
Stop giving the money away for what we would call development and start giving the money to start building factories, building technology institutes, building research and development places. If you actually look in places like Ghana and other parts in West Africa, GDP-wise, they're worse off now than they were 40 years ago when all the aid money and all the charities started sending money. So what we're starting to see when we talk about China is a real impact in Africa because they're focusing on jobs. Now, how China does it, I have kind of some questions with, but if we can focus on building Africa's middle class and supporting it by creating a solid manufacturing base, at a minimum, it's a really unique way to eradicate that poverty. And it can probably, for every dollar you spend on building manufacturing, you're probably going to see 10 times more people, if not 100 times more people employed from that than if you ever gave away a pair of shoes or ever kind of donated, $20.
Okay, this has been a big risk for you, your wife, your 8-month-old son. Everybody's supporting you. You're not quite yet able to provide for the family, but you're investing in Africa. Why have you put so much of your heart and soul into this?
I love what I do, but more so I believe in what we're doing in sub-Saharan Africa, specifically at the factories. But I'm 30. Worst case, I'm bankrupt when I'm 10. Obviously our investors won't be so happy about that, but it's the whole idea that I have everything to gain, but not so much to risk. So what, I'm out of some money. I'll be 40 years old. My parents, when they came into this country, they had absolutely nothing. And in their mid-40s, they started a successful furniture business. So worst case, I have no money at 40. I have an education. I have a great family, a great support system. We'll be more than fine the rest of our lives. So what? I take a risk for 10 years, and luckily it's paying off. So luckily it's not as much of a risk as it was 2 years ago as well.
Okay, Tal Dehtiar, where do we get Oliberte's shoes?
Yeah, I mean, across
Let's
Canada.
do the commercial.
Yeah, I mean, across Canada, you can get them everywhere from Town Shoes to Little Burgundy to Locale. We have boutiques all across North America as well, Urban Outfitters as well out of the U.S. So Japan, Holland, Korea, you name it.
And the website's got it.
Yeah, and you can go to oliberte.com, obviously. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's the idea that Africa is more than just poverty. There's full of pride, power, and potential, and it goes to the fact that you cannot just make shoes. You can make telephones. You can make radio sala. Eventually, we'll start sending people to the moon, from somewhere in the middle of Botswana. It's all possible if you just give it a chance.
Tal, thank you very much. When Listen Up returns, lessons from the working poor, microcredit, and its challenge and its change. That's next.
They are poor because of latitude and longitude. It's where they were born. And despite what they do, they cannot get off this generational treadmill.